Hello, hello, hello. Hi, hello. Welcome to Tarot and Tea Tuesday. What have we got today? Oh, hi. I can see Tam messaging me there on Patreon. You made it to one. Yay. I think Rowan's joining us too. I do have a couple of questions. But anyway, hi and welcome. I would like to talk about the tea I'm having today because I have had some really interesting symptoms. This is the reason I want to talk about it. I've been thinking I'm lacking in magnesium. So I've been sort of focused on taking a lot of magnesium, doing a lot of stretches, drinking a lot of water, all the good things for like muscle tiredness and cramps, little ticks in my eye. I've got achy joints. And I put everything down to menopause at the moment. Like I just blame menopause for everything. But I dug a little deeper in the last few days because I've also been getting some like pretty bad headaches. Some of them red wine induced. But anyway, in some research I found about oxidative stress, I realized that oxidative stress can actually contribute to so many other things, such as menopause symptoms, liver issues, sore muscles and achy joints, all of these things that I thought, oh gosh, this is maybe why magnesium's not working, or, you know, this might be why, and, you know, why I've got headaches, because my body is in a state of oxidative stress. And when I did a quick analysis of my diet lately, I probably have not been getting enough antioxidants, enough vitamin C, and I don't think I get any selenium. Like, I don't think there's any selenium in our soils anymore. So anyway, that just went ping to me. So I had a quick look for the tea today. Oh, and also, yeah, the menopause symptoms, like I was saying. But I had a quick look at my tea today, and the bottle of gorse has been calling me from the shelf, the gorse flowers. I keep going up to it and sniffing it in this last week, and gorse is actually really good, really strong antioxidants. I'm like, okay, that's what I'm having as my tea today. I've got my gorse in this beautiful cup that I got a very long time ago. But yeah, it's this kind of like slightly yellow color. You have to be careful. I forage gorse, but you have to be careful because a lot of it is sprayed with like really hardcore chemicals, because it is a really insidious, noxious weed. Apparently farmers can actually get fined for growing it. There's some great stories about gorse out there, and it's often used as a flower essence. I've made flower essence with it before. But as a tea, like I've eaten the flowers too. They taste a bit like broad beans. They're kind of nice. But as a tea, it's really bitter. I had a sip before. It's not crazy bitter, but it's up there as a bitter. So I've been having digestive issues as well, which is another symptom of oxidative stress. So yeah, it's good. I can tell it's good for my digestion already, just by that bitterness and the way that it kind of like, you can feel it and salivate your mouth differently. Like, oh, that's very loud. So yeah, anyway, and go and find some. If you message me and I'll send you some, because they're really good tea to have. They're very pretty. And also, if you can't get a hold of gorse, everyone should be focusing on antioxidants. That's my new thing. Another thing, I thought I was low on iron, but it was because I was bruising really easily. Another side effect of oxidative stress. So yeah, oxidative stress is my new thing, people. So if you need any help on that, let me know. Get antioxidants into you as well. So that's the tea, gorse flower. Beautiful. We're working today with these cards. There's the lovely back of these cards. These are, what are they called? the heart of fairy oracle. I'm onto my oracle decks now because I've pretty much gone through all of the tarot in my trunk. Maybe there's another hidden one in there somewhere. Actually, there is a couple that I'm purposely not pulling out yet. But anyway, we're going on to oracle decks. This is the heart of the fairy oracle. It's by the wonderful team of Brian and Wendy Froud. Pretty sure they both worked on bringing these into the earth equally. Brian Froud, a lot of you might know from his work in the 80s in a lot of film. I think he created the creatures in, what's the film with David Bowie in it? Oh gosh. Anyway, The Labyrinth. Oh my God. Yeah. Brain fog is another symptom of oxidative stress. Yes, we all would be familiar with Brian Froud's work. Actually, I'm going to show you some cards while we're looking at it. So he has this really, Brian Froud draws fairy. He's the person that really taught me about this idea that fairy is a place and there are multiple beings that come from fairy. I know he's just retelling older stories from many places around the world, but he was the first one to really speak to me, for me to be exposed to the realm of fairy. And he just unlocked something primal in me with his images, with the way that he speaks about fairy. I reckon I was probably just coming of age, like maybe 12 or 13, when I first started reading things about fairy from Brian Froud's perspective. And I love the fact that he animates this world in his everyday life. He uses his gift of storytelling to, like, there's one called in another deck that became part of my family culture when the kids were little. If any of my kids are watching this, tell me if you remember. But the foot fungus fairy, Faf, the foot fungus fairy, or something like that. So Brian Froud connected with, discovered this fairy that was the cause of all foot fungus, because that was its thing. But it sticks with you. When you hear these things, they stick with you. And he's just got a really great way of animating and bringing to life through storytelling and imagery these energetics that we're around all the time. And I really highly believe that this changed my worldview forever once I first read Brian Froud. So thank you, Brian and Wendy Froud. This is the heart of the Oracle deck. I love that it's like, it's to do with love, and it's by him and his wife. There's all sorts of lovely things to do with this deck. If anyone wants to borrow them, let me know. The images are beautiful, as you saw. Okay, so where are we at? We're coming up to a dark moon, and this is a special dark moon because it is the Chinese New Year. I believe we're moving into the year of the snake. I have a snaky son, becoming a daughter, and the year of the snake, I haven't looked too much into it. I have this thing with Chinese New Year. I love the fact that it is such a big, loud festival, and that it's becoming normalized in common tongue in the world that I live in the culture that I live in. But to be honest, I don't know heaps about it. So I haven't looked into it. And what I tend to do is I get excited when the time comes, when it's getting near, like now. I'm like, oh, this is great. And I start to sort of dive into it and have a look. But none of the information sticks with me, and I don't know what that is. Some of it does, but not a lot. Same with astrology. I think they're just really complex systems. You know, the reason I'm here is I've devoted my entire life to tarot, my entire adult life to tarot. So that's a system that I feel very comfortable with, and I'm right in there with. It doesn't mean I don't appreciate these other styles and systems of not only viewing the world but understanding the world, and they all sort of circle around and influence and intertwine with each other. So that's why I'm acknowledging the Chinese New Year. I'm not Chinese. It's not part of my family culture, but it is part of my society now. It's become normalized in my society. And it excites me that it's like something that I can use as a checkpoint and as a way to tap into what I need to be doing and what my process is. So yeah, that is a very significant thing that's coming up in the next couple of days. It also means that we're on this like trajectory towards the dark moon. It's called the disseminating moon. No, the balsamic crescent we're in right now. So it's a phase of the moon that's almost at the dark of the moon before the new moon starts again. So it's that crescent that's like waning. It's on its way out. And it's a really significant time to be releasing with the moon, waning with the moon, letting things go, which is great because I feel like my trip down this getting rid of my oxidative stress path is tied in nicely with getting rid of the oxidative stress in my body. And it's also the moon. So the sun's in Aquarius, which is, that time of like thinking about ideology and how things work, like looking at alternative ways to how things could work. This Aquarian sun thing, like really exploring alternate ways of getting things done, of processing, of being, of understanding, of viewing, and of accepting, which I love. I love this time of year for that. And we've got a Capricorn moon, which is my moon, but mine's a disseminating moon in Capricorn, so just after the fall. But at the moment, we have a balsamic moon in Capricorn. What I love about, so Capricorn is the only earth sign in my chart. And what I've come to understand about the moon in Capricorn for me is that Capricorn kind of creates this really stable, solid vessel that my emotions can be in. My emotions can sit comfortably with me no matter what they are. But the thing is that I can also just kind of like, I can look into this like comfortable pool of my emotions that the Capricorn moon has created for me, or I can just kind of not looking. I'm either in it or I'm not in it, but they're contained is what I'm getting at. And I feel like that's perhaps what this moon is bringing us. We've got an opportunity before the moon becomes new, and it's the Chinese New Year, and it's Aquarius sun, Aquarius moon, big thinking, big moving, big changing kind of energy happening. We've got this moment of pause now where we can kind of go, okay, I'm going to hold all that I am emotionally. Nice, it's being held. So do you want to look into that? Is it the time now to look into that? Or is it just nice to have a break from them, just to let them be sitting there in this Capricorn moon vibe? Either way, that's totally up to you. But I feel like this is the energy that we're bringing with our reading today. Also, I've had a couple of really cool themes and questions to think about for this read. I've written them down. So a couple of them are around things like, am I seeing what I need to be seeing? Am I on the right path? Am I progressing? Am I on the level that I need to be? How can I be tapping into what's the next step for my creative process? And then this other angle, which is sort of more around like, how can I be of service to the collective while still serving myself? I think that's a great question. Thanks. But yeah, so that's going to be sort of woven into this read as well, this idea of those two things. So, all right, shuffling the cards. Sorry, I do like smelling the cards every now and then. sorcerer. Here we go. Oh gosh, okay. Let's all have a little look at this. Okay, here's the thing with oracle cards. Let's just have a little side note. When I'm reading tarot, like with astrology, there's a really clear system involved. There's, the 4 elements are represented as like 4 suits. There's the court cards. There's the ace to 10 cards. So there's like the system of the court. There's a system of numerology. There's a system of the elements. Then there's the major arcana, the system of the spirit journey or the hero's journey or whatever you want to call it. Then they're things that I've sort of learnt and come to understand and feel comfortable with. When it comes to oracle cards, they're very different because they're generally more personalised to the person creating them or the people creating them. And the symbolism, I kind of like, I play with my oracle cards not as often as my tarot cards, so I'm not as familiar with the symbolism. But so yeah, it's a bit of a free form kind of flow with the oracle, and I might be making a lot of this up. So there is a book though that comes with it. I just don't feel like looking at the book, but that is the book there. So here we go, the sorcerer, number 27. Look at this character. Okay, so I love that in this deck there's all of these like really magical looking, like, fairy things like with wings and splashes of colour, this etherealness, but there's also some really grounded, intense looking things. And this is one of those grounded, intense looking cards here. So this is the sorcerer. When I think of the word sorcerer, as opposed to like witch or wizard, a sorcerer is a being that can really shift things in an almost like a weaver of a bunch of different things. So hang on, let me wrap my head around this process as we're going. So to me, like a wizard is very much about holding, a bit like a king in the tarot cards or the emperor, holding the information on a cognitive level, and so taking it all in, and then expressing it back out as a means to sort of manage big groups, big areas. So weaving on that kind of intellectual level. I see wizards doing that, and they can sort of like manipulate energetics to suit this kind of like governing aspect of community or culture or society. Then we have witches that tend to connect with the natural world a little bit more and be the voice of the energetics of nature, and not discluding humans, but considering humans as part of that natural ecosystem. And then we have sorcerers, and sorcerers I feel like work in a way that's kind of a bit more personal, a bit more self-focused, that then can kind of be like, it's a selfish process of working with magic and weaving magic, but generally that sense of self is big enough to incorporate systems of communities or culture, whatever. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that like a sorcerer is someone that's pretty powerful and that can make quite significant changes that are really obvious, overt, significant changes, in my understanding of the role of sorcerer. But it depends whether they work for you or against you is completely up to their agenda, not necessarily. So if you say, for example, you ask a wizard to help you with your creative process, right? Or help you to see if you're on the right journey, on the right path. If you ask a wizard will look at everybody's path and then look at where you are at in the map of everybody's path, and then they will relate that story to you. A witch will feel into the natural world around you and into then how your nature is reflected within that world and how you're reflecting that world back at them, and they will tell you that story. A sorcerer will think about what their journey is and say to you, I can tell you your story related to my journey. If it's to do with manifesting something, a wizard will manifest what works for everybody. A witch will manifest what works for the natural order of things. And a sorcerer will only manifest it if it works for both them and the person asking. So it's not that it's like a good or a bad energy, but I just feel like when I think about Fae, a sorcerer that comes from Fae, first of all, they probably don't really give a shit about humans at all. Secondly, they probably don't even relate to a lot of people in Fae. I feel like they're just more about like who they are and what their mission is. Now, this one's sort of embedded in the roots of trees there, so I feel like they're really deeply connected to Earth and to Earth energy, which is nice that it's coming up at this time of the Capricorn moon. So what I'm kind of getting out of this card then, especially if we look at these questions here. So let's think about, are we seeing the journey? So that's a good question, because what is our journey right now? At the balsamic moon, it's a really good time to question, where are we going? What is this path that I'm on? Is it the right one for me? Like it's a good time to question the forward movement as the moon's kind of slowing down and waning and getting to dark, so that when you begin that momentum that comes with the new moon, you're not just blindly going ahead. You've stopped. You've had a pause to think about it. I feel like the sorcerer is coming up at this point to kind of make us go, okay, if we're crossing our paths with the sorcerer right now, in terms of what's going on astrologically, and knowing that if we're asking this sorcerer for help right now, we have to be prepared to deal with the consequences of their agenda, what they might be adding to the equation. Then I guess it would be a matter of going, okay, like, is where I've been, is where I am right now exactly where I feel, is where I am right now where I want to be? Because it's pretty hard to justify where you've been, because wherever you are, you can say the past has gotten you there, right? So you can blame the past then, or you can thank the past, but it removes responsibility and ownership. So, and if you focus too much on where you're going, then you don't see the ground underneath you, and you end up changing your values or your goals too often to suit where you just haphazardly end up being. So the focus being right now, if you are right now in this balsamic Capricorn moon phase, thinking about everything's held for me comfortably right now. Am I where I want to be right now? There is a yes or a no answer there. It can't be any more complicated than that. Because if you overcomplicate things, when you cross paths with this sorcerer, as we are right now, you overcomplicate, you offer up too much diversity in how you can get what you want. So you need to either be a yes or a no. If it's a no, then I guess the next question would be, where is it that I want to be? What was my expectation of where I would be right now? And that's where dreaming comes into it, and hope and imagining a future. If you're not doing enough of that, then you'll come up with a blank. So then there's your answer. The next part of your journey is about imagining and dreaming and tapping into hope. If you are exactly where you want to be, then you might be able to say to the sorcerer, okay, what's my next step? Where do I go now?